What's up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka NinosCorner. I see the comments are coming in. What's up, Deshaun? 254 in the building. I went to high school with Deshaun. What's going on, brother? Mock, what's going on? Yes, we are live. Finally, yes. Stanley, what's going on, man? Hook 'em, hook 'em. Hey, folks, man, look, you guys are hearing all the chatter, man. All this chatter that's coming in about is Niblack coming to Texas? Is Muhammad coming to Texas? Is this really going to happen, folks? First off, folks, you like this content that's coming your way, like these videos, comment, subscribe, and share. Today is a live call-in show. So go into the comment. I got a pinned comment in there. If you want to call in, almost like a Paul Feinbaum kind of show, hit that link, man. It'll bring you up, and I bring you up on the screen, and we'll talk football for about 30 seconds, and then we'll go to the next caller. But folks, this is huge. If Texas is able to pull this in, what's up, John Hooker, man? Victor, what's going on, Hooker, buddy? Stand again. Great season. We getting fire. Definitely, definitely. Hey, man. I want to talk about this for a minute. Let's talk about Niblack first off. If Texas is able to lose a guy like JT Sanders to the draft, and we all understand that JT is, if I'm not mistaken, he is slotted to be the second tight end picked in the draft this year, the second best tight end in the country behind Brock Bowers. Okay. So if we're slotted to lose JT Sanders, and if Texas is able to pick up a guy like Niblack from Alabama, man, that is truly outstanding. You guys understand that I talked to a guy named Ty, from ATS Sports pretty much on the daily. And yeah, Ty is he's very high on Niblack, and that kind of caught the folks at Bama by storm because of the offense that is going to come in, at Bama, and they're thinking that he can just flourish in there. But look, folks, Sark is cooking right now. Not saying it's happened. We don't know if it's happened. There's been a pick in. I think the first person to report it was Jerry Hamilton today from On Three. No, Jerry reported Jabar Muhammad. I forgot who was the first person to report about Niblack, but hey, man, the biggest thing that I got now is if Texas is able to pull this off, how are they going to use all these weapons? I mean, Sark has went through the transfer portal and killed it. Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Silas Bolden, and you couple that with a guy like Jonte Cook, and if you bring a guy like Niblack in, I mean, you just so many weapons. There's so many weapons. What does this tell you about this Texas staff and what they think? This tells you that this Texas staff thinks that they can go out and win immediately. I mean, they think they can go out and win the SEC next year with the talent that they have coming back. Yeah, this Texas staff thinks that they can win the SEC next year or compete to win it. They feel like they have the talent to get into the playoffs, which is just the top 12 teams. And if they're in the playoffs, look, folks, it's anybody's game there. But I think this Texas team, with the schedule that they have, which is a preferable schedule for next year in the SEC, and the talent that they're bringing back, especially at quarterback and at running back and the offensive line gelling, folks, this is going to be sick. This is going to be sick if Texas is able to pull it off. We're going to talk about Niblack for now. I got to kind of get in where I fit in because I got to be featured on the podcast tonight at 8:30. But Vic says Helm is a baller. Niblack will be a nice addition. Look, man, he'd be more than a nice addition. Like, Niblack is a dog. He's a beast. The thing with this is, you guys remember how JT looked his first year of like truly starting at tight end. Maybe not the best blocker, but I mean, just a receiver. He's just another. He had a different gear than Helm did. And nothing bad about Helm. Helm is the truth. I love me some Gunnar Helm. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love me some Gunnar Helm. But there's levels to this too, right? And there's a reason why Sanders is the second projected tight end to come off the draft board this year. He's that damn good. But Sanders came in and he was more of a pass catcher, right? He just was. But he was so potent at doing it as a true starter in his first year is that you couldn't deny it, right? You could not deny it. That's Niblack. But Niblack is, I think he's a more athletic freak than Sanders. He's a fast guy, a big frame guy as well. But also he would fit in and come and play that JT role. But look, man, I don't know how. I'm just being honest. I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, it's talent. You put talent anywhere on the field, it's talent, right? But Sark, if this is true and this happens, folks, if this is true, and this happens, so Mike Sproul just said that 247 has Niblack at 100% to Texas. Okay, so I'm not gonna say it until it actually happens. But if this is true, I want to talk about Stanley's comment here. How do we keep all this talent? Man, look, they're coming here knowing that the talent's here. So it's not about matter of keeping. They understand the assignment. They understand that these guys are here on campus. They just saw Silas Bowden, commit. Silas Bowden just saw Isaiah Bond commit. Isaiah Bond just saw Matthew Golden commit. Right? They understand who's on this roster. They see a 5-star in Jonte Cook there. Right? They see a 5-star in Ryan Wingo coming in. He's an early guy too. He just got into the dorms last week. Right? They see DeAndre Moore on camp. They see Niblack, who runs a 10-4 40-yard, a 10-4 100-meter dash. They see all these guys here on campus. They understand the talent that is here, right? So they're not running from nothing. They're coming to be a part of something. And that lets you know that Sark is building something. Now, one thing that I do want to say, hold on. Comments here. If he does come in Texas, would he have to wait because school is already started? I think they have up until the 31st of July to register for classes. So nah, he'll be totally fine. He wouldn't have to wait. And yeah, Arch is also patiently waiting, which is, I'm telling you, this is the beauty about it. So I started doing some tracking of stats, and I came across this tweet today by Anthony Tresh from December 13, 2019. And he said that Sark used 10 personnel, folks. So 10 personnel is one running back and no tight end. So basically 4 wide receivers from the field. He only used it for 42 plays, right? 42 plays in 2019. And that was that stat class of wide receivers, right? So that's that Devontae Smith and Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs and Waddle. So those 4 guys killed it, right? But then I said, man, that's only like 5.5%, 5.3%, right? So I did some more digging. I was like, well, how many snaps are these guys getting for the season, right? So I go and track it, and I look at the snaps, and I see that season, Jerry Jeudy had 600 snaps. So that means he was getting 46 snaps a game. Devontae Smith got 626 snaps at 48 snaps a game. Henry Rugg got 527 snaps. He only played 12 instead of 13 games. So he averaged about 44 snaps a game. Then Jalen Waddle had 293 snaps at 23 snaps a game, right? So there is room for that. Where it kind of dipped off was the tight ends. They weren't as productive in Sark's system in 2019 as far as catching the ball. Now, I got to go back and look at how much 12 personnel that team used. When folks want to say 12 personnel, that's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't a lot in that season because he had those guys running so many snaps that year, right? I think Sark that year had 725 snaps, 745 snaps. And you're seeing like Jerry Jeudy and, Smith both had over 600 snaps that season. So Sark knows how to utilize those guys. And now, folks, when I say that, I am not comparing those 4. And I've been getting a lot of heat, especially from some Sooners on there, that, look, you're comparing them to 4 first-round picks. Well, I'm not comparing them to 4 first-round picks. I'm comparing them to scheme. And look, Arch Horn says it best. So Sark will adjust his scheme according to his talent and personnel. Exactly. We're talking about the scheme. We're talking about the personnel fits, folks. That's what we're talking about. Yes, Sark will adjust to the personnel that he has. And when I went back and looked at what was going on there, right? That year, 2019 was the season that was Devontae Smith's sophomore year. Sark's not, you can tell he's not really big on playing freshmen. I shouldn't say not big on playing freshmen, but he prefers guys that you can tell been in the system, guys that he trusts. You can tell he had the ultimate trust in those 4 guys. And guys that aren't going to make mistakes when they get the, just get the ball, man. So I think Sark is going to have, excuse me, folks. Sark he's going to have an embarrassment of riches. And if this happens with Niblack, this is going to be interesting to see how he is going to use him. Because when I charted the personnel packages for this season, right, I charted it as 10 personnel. I had Sark and team using 10 personnel a little bit more than what he used at Bama in 2019. But the way that I chart my 10 personnel is a little bit different than probably what was charted by PFF in 2019. So there are times where we had 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end on the field, but For instance, JT Sanders was not lined up as a tight end in the block. JT Sanders was no kidding lined up on the outside as a wide receiver, along with Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, and Jordan Whittington. I count that as 10 personnel when that guy's not on the line and he is coming out of the huddle as a wide receiver, on the boundary. Yeah, I count it as a wide receiver. And I don't think Pro Football Focus counts that as a wide receiver in that frame. And I get it. He's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. But in that personnel package, he is not on the line and he is flanked out as a wide receiver, came out the huddle it's yeah. But I do understand they look at the defensive assignments too. And if a guy sees, JT Sanders out there, they're probably not going to put, like a nickel on him. They're going to probably put like a nickel or maybe like a linebacker or a safety to cover him, right? But it just is what it is. But I look at that as kind of like 10 personnel package too, because he is definitely split out. But if Sark brings this in, if he brings a guy like Niblack in, man, this is going to be absolutely sick with the amount of talent that he's going to have. I mean, he is a freak of nature when it comes to catching the ball. He's a freak of nature just in his athletic ability. He's a freak of nature. I mean, his versatility, man. This guy's basically he's a glorified wide receiver mismatch playing tight end. You can put him in a slot at that size. I think what is he, 6'4", 245 or something like that. He's not a small guy, folks. Let me look up his stats right now to see how big Niblack is. But he's not a small guy, folks. Niblack is ESPN saying he's 6'4", 235, right? So he's not a small guy. 20 catches last year, 327 yards at 16 yards per catch and 4 touchdowns. And I don't know if Alabama even used him the way that he probably should have been used, folks. So if Texas is able to pull this is outstanding. This is outstanding. First off, let's check some comments. Yeah, so Michael Spruce goes, good coaches adjust their personnel. Exactly. Paxton, what's up, man? Hook 'em, baby. Horns down no, it doesn't. I don't give a damn. Hey, win the game. Win the game. Win the game. There's no horns down when you win the game. All right, so Arch Horn says, Bama fans says Niblack is a terrible blocker. Is that true? JT wasn't a strong blocker either, better or worse. Hey, Bama fans say that he is a horrible blocker. Bama fans are mad that Niblack's gone too. I bet you they wish they had him I bet you they wish that they had him on the roster right now. I mean, it's amazing that once these players decide to leave a school, that's when the fans just really go at him, right? Like, I mean, he was the best thing since sliced bread 2 weeks ago, and he's going to fit so well in the Kalen DeBoer system. And now that he's leaving, he can't block, and he's not this and he's not that. Which he's not the best blocker. I'm not gonna say that, but probably JT's probably just a tad bit more seasoned blocking. It was JT's 3rd year. I think this is Niblack's 2nd year. And so maybe over the offseason, if he does come in Texas, he can, work that out or get better at it. We all know that Gunnar Helm's probably the best blocker in that tight end room. But yeah, man, Bama fans wish that they wish Niblack was in the portal right now. I say that. So Taylor goes, what up? Hook 'em, Nino, man. Hook 'em. What's up, baby? King Kunta, the development of Sadir Mitchell is going to be big. We need him to be ready this year. Yeah, so we'll talk about Sadir later on. I want to kind of stay on point here. We're going to talk about Niblack, and then we're going to talk about Jabar Muhammad, right? So, matter of fact, let's talk about Jabar Muhammad. Jabar Muhammad, right? Interesting. A lot of the reports are coming out, folks, saying that maybe he wasn't going to be able to come here because of the credits, the grade. I mean, well, not the grades, because he's a good student from what I hear. The grades aren't a problem. It's Texas with the credits coming in and things of that nature. So, I don't know if he's graduated already and he's coming as a grad transfer, or does he have the credits and Texas is really kind of funny and kind of finicky with those credits because they don't want you to come into Texas and take like 20 hours and then slap that, look, I graduated from UT when you basically only had a semester and a half of classes from UT and most of them transferred from another school. So I don't know the true situation on that. But for him to be, basically slided to come here to Texas. Now, it's first reported by Jerry, Hamilton, that he is predicting, he's not saying, he is predicting with a 65% confidence from On3 that he thinks Muhammad is coming to Texas, which is going to be, if that happens, folks, let's look at this DB room. right? Let's look at this DB room. Last year, what 2 weeks ago, we said that the weakest link on this team was the DBs, right? We said that the weakest link was the safety room. We were young at safety. We were young at cornerback, like for the most part. And not to say that they were a bad unit. It's just that we had really good units in front of them. My defensive line has two guys that are going to be first or second round draft picks, right? Linebacker has a All-American from the previous year and a 5-star budding star who was a freshman All-American and the freshman defensive player of the year for the conference, right? And then our secondary is just not as decorated. They weren't a bad unit, folks. You go back and watch that Washington game, they were in position. For the most part, they were in position. But it was the youngest room, and it wasn't as highly talented from the top down as the defensive line and the linebackers as well, right? But if you bring a guy like Jabar Muhammad, let's get into Victor's comment here. He goes, if Muhammad comes, who's going to the Pine? Well, if Muhammad comes, man, this is going to be sick. We've seen that this staff has rotated their cornerbacks. We saw it a lot this year, right? But if he comes, I look at two Muhammad Islands, man. Manny Muhammad on one side, Jabar Muhammad on another side. You're looking at Barron coming back at the nickel. You're looking at Derek Williams at safety, and you couple that with Andrew Makuba, the transfer from Clemson at safety. And guys, we have completely redefined that secondary room. That back half of that defense is completely redefined. Terrence Brooks is probably the odd man out. But folks, let's understand this. That doesn't mean he's not going to get snaps. Go back and look at the games last year. The starters, with Terrence Brooks and Ryan Watts, right? Manny Muhammad played a lot. Gavin Holmes played a lot, right? So it's not like they just put two guys out there and just let them feast or famine all game. PK and Blake Gideon and Terry Joseph, they do a great job of getting these guys in and out and getting them time. And you got to look at too, man, some of these offenses that we're going to be playing. A guy like Lane Kiffin, which I know we don't play Lane Kiffin next year in the SEC, but that guy spreads people out. There are going to be times where you're going to need more of those cornerbacks on the field, man. So look, yes, Gavin Holmes might be out, Terrence Brooks might be out, they might be out of starting. But folks, that doesn't mean that they're not going to play. They're going to play. And this staff has shown us over the last 2 years, they do rotate the secondary quite a bit. Like for instance, Michael Taft is going to play next year, folks. He's going to get some playing time. Michael Taft's going to get some playing time. He's earned the right to play. He's played damn well. He's earned the right to play. He's going to play. Jelani McDonald is probably going to play a lot at safety next year. This staff, like I said, they rotate these guys in and out, which is not a bad thing. Keeps the guys fresh, keeps them engaged too as well. And when you have an embarrassment of riches out there, it's like, what else can you do, man? You got to let these guys play. This is a good problem to have. And that's what Victor's saying. This is an outstanding problem to have if Texas is to land a guy like Jabar Muhammad. Now, we all understand that Jabar Muhammad has a lot of family here, on the 40 acres. Cousin is Manny Muhammad. The other cousin is Billy Walton, who came from SOC as well. And then he has a cousin that plays basketball. All right. So, he has 3 cousins that play sports here. And if he's able to come here to the University of Texas, he's closer to home because he went to DeSoto. And 2, he's surrounded by people that he loves and that he knows, and it's going to be a comfortable fit for him. So this is going to be interesting. Oh yeah. So Gilbo, this is a good question. Arch Torrance, great question. I'm a Jalen Gilbo truther. I'm a fan, right? He's a slot guy. He truly is, right? So Makuba's going to be the safety more than likely because Barron's going to hit that slot still. There's going to be opportunities for Jalen Gilbo to come in as well. And folks, when you have this much talent on the team, there are going to be some people who just aren't going to play as much as they thought they were going to play. But this is Barron's last year here on campus. Guess who's the next man up? It's Gilbo. It's Gilbo. These are not bad problems to have, folks. These are not bad problems to have. Gilbo needs to stay healthy. Yes, yes, yes. All players need to stay healthy, but these are not bad problems to have. I'm not saying these guys are as talented as the '05 team. I'm not saying that. '05, that roster, that secondary was sick. I mean, it was sick, folks. You had Michael Huff. You had Michael Griffin, cornerback, Cedric Griffin. You had Terrell Brown. You had Aaron Ross out there. Man, these guys wanted to play too, but they understood. Man, look, King Kunta, you're right. I forgot about Austin Jordan. That's how stacked this room is. Look, those are 5 guys out there. Drew Kelson was on that team too. I mean, look, man, there is so much talent out there, just scattered with high 4-stars and 5-star guys, right? That somebody's going to get left out of playing a lot of snaps, but their time is coming. And we saw that this staff had produced Thorpe winner after Thorpe winner after Thorpe Award winner. Michael Huff, I think Griffin won the Thorpe, right? Aaron Ross won the Thorpe, right? So, I mean, it's just Thorpe. That's what they were doing. And these guys were literally waiting their turn, and there's nothing wrong with it, because when you go to the SEC and he becomes a starter, if he stays around and he starts in the 2025 season, or, folks, you're one hit away. You're one hit away from being the guy, right? You're one hit away. All right. So, I mean, just think about that. If he's in the 2 deep and he's the guy behind Barron, you're one hit away. Right. So, yeah, the culture there in this program, you can tell, folks, is it's ramped up. It's ramped up. Guys want to be here. This is lovely. Guys want to be here. Guys want to be, Texas Longhorns. Guys want to be here, man. This is an outstanding culture that is being built here by Sark, and team. And man, if Texas is able to pull these 2 guys from the portal, you're talking about a team that is going to compete next year, no kidding, for an SEC championship, and they're going to be in the hunt for a national championship next year. Returning a guy like Quinn, returning that stable back of running backs that they got there, man, with C.J. Baxter, with Jaden Blue. Also, the Christian Clarks coming in and the Jarrett Gibsons. When we saw pictures of those guys working out, I mean, those guys look bigger and more filled out than the guys we got on roster right now. And then the offensive line, folks, is going to be just stupid sick. I mean, just the continuity there. It's going to be a lot of competition there too in the guard position. Yeah, you look, is Hayden Conner going to be able to hold off a guy like Neto, or is Campbell going to be able to hold off a guy like Cole Hudson or Neto as well? Is Cam Williams going to be able to hold off a budding freshman, named Brandon Baker, right? I think Kelvin Banks is definitely solidified. He's not going anywhere. And Jake Majors, at the center position, is probably one of the most important guys to come back, especially going in that first year in the SEC. All right. So, man, it's awesome. Michael says it best. Good time to be a Longhorn. Cape says Jay Witt got a Longhorn. Man, Jay Witt is the consummate professional. He is the guy that he bleeds burnt orange, man. And it was good just to see him here, man. Mike says this, look, man, I don't know if Quinn graduates this spring or summer, but let's be honest, this is his last year here at Texas, man. So I think we need to enjoy Quinn. Just enjoy him this last year. I think Quinn's going to have one hell of a season this year, especially with all the talent that is being brought in. Quinn won the Big 12 in his second year starting. His third year as a college athlete. And I expect bigger things in his fourth year. I do. I expect bigger things in his third year starting. Not comparing this guy to VY, and then VY is the greatest quarterback to ever step on campus. And it's not even close, But what Vince Young was able to do from the jump from his third year to his fourth year, his second year starting to his third year starting, his fourth year on campus. A lot of people forget, took VY 4 years on campus to win a championship. Right. So give the man Quinn some grace, folks. Give him some grace. This is his fourth year on campus, and he came early. He came a year early, folks. But it took VY 4 years to win a conference championship and to win a national championship here on campus. It took his third year starting to do all that. Right. The difference between VY and his second to last year and his last year here on campus was astronomical. Astronomical. We went from winning but barely winning his second year starting, that 2004 season, to 2005 season, we stomped people. This team absolutely mauled people. Wasn't close. It wasn't close. Right. So that's what this team did in that jump. Now this is what I want to take. I want to talk about here is the jump with Quinn. The vocal leaders on this team, the guys that the players probably followed, your JT Sanders, who was a vocal leader, your Rojo from the year before, he was a vocal leader. JT Sanders, you can tell he was a vocal leader on this team. The defense, your Sweats and your Murphys and your Jalen Fords, those guys are gone. Who's going to step up? This got to be Quinn's team, right? And we saw Quinn get a little nasty attitude on him. He was getting crunks on, man. I love that in the quarterback. So I think Quinn's going to take that next step this year, man, and it's going to be great for Texas. Sark knows it. Sark sees it, folks. That's why he's doing what he's doing here in the portal. He sees it. He sees it. And you can tell he's going for broke this season. He is going for broke on that field. He's putting as much talent as he can out there. He's putting a bunch of fast guys on the field together. Everybody in this team, I think, as a wide receiver that's going to get significant playing time. These guys are all 4.4 guys. I think the slowest person, I think I heard somebody say the slowest person ran a 10.8 and 100. I mean, the slowest out of those 4 guys that are going to play wide receiver here at Texas and play a lot of minutes. And so Sark knows what he has. And so he's going to adjust his personnel to do what he has to do to put the best possible matchups out there and just make sure it works and gives Quinn and this team a bunch of options to win games. Mike says if he does, then he cannot have to worry about classes and just work on football like Burrow. That's good. But I don't know if he's graduated, but Burrow, it was different, folks. He was a 5th-year guy, right? So he graduated. He was a 5th-year guy. So a little different story. This is Quinn's going into his 4th year. So, Burrow had a full year off, basically. He didn't take any grad courses, and he just said, I'm playing ball, right? So, a tad different. Cape goes, there is no way he misses any of those wide receivers we have now. You're talking about as far and, like throwing deep balls. And, yeah, exactly, man. There's a lot of speed on this team. A lot of speed in this team. So Vix goes, something is going down tonight. Coaches are tweeting. Yes. Man, it's going to be lovely. And Stay Woke says, yes, QBs take time to bake. I agree. Yes, they take time to bake. Like I said, Joe Burrow, would we have ever said in Joe Burrow's 4th season in college that he was going to be the guy he was that year at LSU would have had the historical numbers in 2019? I don't think anybody that watched Joe Burrow in 2018 said that he was going to be that guy. We said he was tough. We said Joe Burrow was a tough dude, right? Like nasty, tough. He puts his body on the line. He was a completely different quarterback the next year. And we didn't see that arm talent in 2018. We saw it in 2019. The thing about Quinn is we've seen that arm talent every year he's been here on campus. He showed it to us. He showed us flashes of it. The Alabama game the first year. Last year, this year here, he showed the talent. The Alabama game, the Texas Tech game. I mean, even the Oklahoma game where he had the 2 interceptions in the fumble. Quinn marched down that field in the second half and almost won this game for us, folks. Just real talk, right? He has the talent. We see it. QBs take time to bake. King Kunta says, not to get off topic, but why did it take Sark 14 games to use Byron Murphy as a runner and goal line? He should have had that drawn up for OU, in my opinion. That's a good question, but I don't know, man. That's the past, man. We're talking about possibly getting two dogs, man. The number 1 tight end in the portal and possibly the number 1 or the number 2, cornerback in the portal. We already got the number 1 wide receiver in the portal, the number 7 wide receiver in the portal. Who else we got, man? We got the number 1 safety in the portal. Lord have mercy. Lord. Arch Horn says Quinn's biggest weakness is in the red zone. Not sure why exactly. Tight windows, maybe, or I don't know. Probably tight windows. I don't know. But I don't think it's gonna be a problem next year. I look. I got confidence. Man. Quarterbacks grow. And I think Quinn's gonna grow a lot this year. I just do. And then the competition in the quarterback room, you're seeing how prepared some of these guys are. You're seeing Arch's floor is extremely high, and I'm pretty sure that is pushing Quinn to as well. And now Trey Owens comes into the mix, and he's a guy that's always prepared 24/7. You can tell. Competition brings out the best in people. And we saw Quinn take a huge step this year, folks. And I'm telling you, man, he's going to take a big step next year. He is, especially going to the SEC. These guys have something to prove. I'm excited for it. I'm excited. Isaac, what's going on, man? I agree, Nino. These weapons are as close to his 2020 core than any core we had, in my opinion. Or the 2000, you're talking about the 19 core. The 2020 core was Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Mechie, and I forgot the tight end's name, but Waddle ended up getting hurt, right? And then that's why Smith ended up winning the Heisman, because he got force-fed balls. I mean, and Smith's that dude. But, man, I'm a Waddle fan. I love Waddle's game. I just love Waddle's game, maybe because he's from Texas. But, man, he's just tough. He's tough as nails. But I like both the players, though. Both those guys were great. But that 2019 one was the one that had all the wide receivers, and you went, I think, traditionally more in the 10 personnel package than he did in 2020. 2020, he had a good tight end. I just can't remember the tight end's name, from Bama. Isaac also says all these dudes are fast, and more importantly, they have hands. They catch through contact. Exactly. And look, man, Silas Bolden is the one that I'm really intrigued with. With Bolden, because Bolden is one of those guys. He's not going to be a Keelan Robinson trick pony. That's not it. Silas Bolden, you can tell Sark, especially in the Washington game this year, he used a little bit of 20 personnel, which is 2 running backs, no tight end, folks, and 21 personnel, which is 2 running backs, 1 tight end. And he used a lot of that with Jaden Blue and Baxter, right? Silas Bolden is one of those guys I can see him motioning out of the backfield, like in 20 personnel. So it'd be two running backs. You got 5 offensive linemen, right? So 2 running backs, that's 7, plus the quarterback is 8, and 3 wide receivers. And you have Silas Bolden motioning out of the backfield as a second running back, and he hits the slot or goes to the outside, which he didn't play the slot much at Oregon State. He was an outside receiver in that system. He's just so good at catching stuff just over the middle, folks, that it seems like he was in the slot, but he never was really. I think his slot percentage was like 5% or something like that. But you put Silas Bolden, right? You put Silas Bolden in the backfield in like 20 personnel, and you have him as a second running back, and you have him coupled with CJ Baxter, or you have him coupled with Jaden Blue. I mean, imagine the speed on that field. Jaden Blue, Silas Bolden as 2 running backs. Silas Bolden motions out of the backfield, and he goes to be the 4th wide receiver, and you have him, Jonte Cook, Matthew Golden, and Isaiah Bond on the field together. And then if you take that away and go 21 personnel, and you take one of those wide receivers off the field, let's say Silas Bolden is the running back, and you take let's say you take Matthew Golden off the field, and you have 21 personnel with 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 tight end, and your tight end is Niblack, or your tight end is Gunnar Helm, who, when he's in, you don't know where he's going to block or go off for a pass, but Gunnar has enough athleticism to be dirty too, man. Man, this team is crazy, man. This team is crazy. They said Burrow lived in the film room in 19. Exactly. Hey, folks, if you want to dial in here, man, click that link in the description or in the comments, and you can dial in here and do a live call-in show like we do with Paul Feinbaum's show, man. Quinn needs to gain 10 pounds of solid muscle. Quinn, I am kind of agreeing with you there, man. He needs to bulk up a little bit. This is what the offseason needs to be for him. Cole Scram. Is that Scram? He says, hook him, man. Ladarius Hicks. What's up, Ladarius? He's a viewer of the show pretty much every time. My boy Marcus Myers, man. Marcus Myers, that's my dude. He said Bolden doesn't arrive until summer, so Moore and Niblack still have a chance to make an impression. Marcus, that's a good point, man. I didn't think about that. I thought he was coming in early. Yeah, I didn't think about that, Marcus. So Silas Bolden coming in the summer. So yeah, that's gonna give Moore, who seems like the stats really high on Moore. And man, I like Moore. Niblack's fast as hell too, man. He's a 10-4, 10-5 guy in the 100-meter dash too. Moore kind of reminds me more of that, like the probably like I would say like a Jay Wick kind of version, like very strong, very physical guy, especially at that size. But that's a good point, Marcus. Marcus is a lifetime Longhorn, folks. He's national champion there for the University of Texas. Um, Isaac says that the return game for Silas, I can see him doing gadget rolls type stuff because he's so fast getting upfield. He's a chain mover. Yeah, so he did punt return and also kickoff return too when it came to his previous team. Right, so this would be interesting to see who do they put on kickoff return and things of that nature. Jaden Blue looked really damn good doing it like this year too. Like, so you put a Jaden Blue there, and do you do that with a Silas Bolden, or does a guy like DeAndre Moore do it? Does Jonte Cook do it? I mean, there's got to be a way. I think Sark understands he's going to keep some of these guys engaged too. Like even a guy like Ron Niblack, who's sneaky fast. I mean, he's not even sneaky fast. He's just really fast. Like, do you look at him and getting some snaps there too as well, right? Because you want to keep these guys engaged because this next man up, they're one hit away. They're just one hit away. Vic says, with all this speed, they need to help Quinn with the yak. Which, look, I went to look at the stats about this, about the yak yardage, right? And anybody knows what yak is yards after catch, right? So this year, I think Texas had 2,700 yards to yak, something like that, 24 or 2,700 yards to yak. And I said, is that like an anomaly? So I went and looked at the Washington staff, in their depth chart, and Washington had like 1,200 yards to yak for the entire season. Well, Sark's system, you can tell, is predicated on getting these guys in open space and like getting them on the run while catching the ball so that they can get yak. And so I looked at the 2019 team and the 2020 team as well. And that 2019 team, they had 2,700 yards to yak too. That's what Sark loves to do. He likes to get those guys in open space, make his playmakers make plays, let them make plays. I mean, dude, this is going to be sick. This is going to be sick. So Hicks says, will it be Bond, Cook, and Bolden as starters next year? Too early to say. Too early to say. Bond and Cook, I think you pencil those guys in. Whether it's Bolden or Golden, right? I mean, man, that's crazy, Bolden or Golden, right? But it doesn't matter. These guys are going to get snaps. Like I said, when I looked at the 2019 team, and just to tell you just the amount of snaps these guys had, I think the 2019 team had 725 or 745 snaps, something like that, total for offense. Jerry Jeudy had 600 snaps. Smith had 626 snaps. Ruggs had 527 snaps and 223 snaps for Waddle, right? So he's almost 300 snaps. So these guys are getting 46, 48, 44, and 23 snaps a game. A lot of snaps for 4 wide receivers. And that's coupled with Najee Harris running for 1,200 yards. And who was the other running back that played for the Patriots? Damian something. Anyways, he had 600 yards or 400 yards rushing too as well. So Sark is going to get his playmakers the ball. Mark says Ty is legit, but he is in denial about the new Bama staff having no resume of being able to recruit. I almost say, man, Ty knows his ball. Ty's my dude. I'll never say nothing bad about Ty. That's my guy. Ty's a real fan, but he's a realistic fan too. And so he's always had questions about sometimes of who they brought in. And let's be honest, when it comes to Bama, I don't want to go too far off subject. Alabama, man, they just came off one of the great, they came off the greatest football run of all time. Nick Saban, having 17 seasons and 6 championships, truly outstanding. He's the best coach of all time. So any coach after Nick Saban is going to be a letdown. It just is, folks. Josh Pate said it best. Josh Pate said it last night that Bama fans, if you're under 30, you're like trust fund babies, right? They're like trust fund babies for the simple fact that they've known nothing but greatness their whole life of watching Alabama play, right? And especially when you started to really get into watching football. You get you're like 8, 9 years old. You're 8, 9 years old, and let's say you're 8 and Saban coached 17 years. So you're 25 and you watch nothing but Alabama football from 8 years old. It's all you know is winning. And it's going to be difficult for some of these guys to stomach that. Isaac says the offense is going to be stupid. Exactly. King Conta, great point here. Great point. He said, who's going to be our 50-50 jump ball guy like A.D. Mitchell, right? I think it could be Wingo. But there's a reason why Sark's going to get talent right now, folks. Sark does not want to trust going into the SEC and have to rely on freshmen to save this team or to make this team run, right? He knows it's a different caliber of play going into the SEC next year. He is not want to find out whether a guy can go or not go in a real live game situation against Georgia. He wants guys that he knows that he can go to war with, and I know these guys are going to be the guy that is going to do the damn thing, right? So Wingo could definitely get snaps in. Who knows? He might come in and win the damn thing. Who knows? He might win the damn job. He might be that great. But you know who had some really good 50-50 jump balls? Go look at his film. Go look at Silas Bolden. For him to be 5'7", it was crazy. But I don't know if that's going to be a lot in this game here because of the guys that Sark has gotten from the portal. This team, I'm telling you, as far as personnel type, they're going to mimic the 2019 and 2020 team. One guy who can get contested balls, Isaiah Bond, 4th and 31. Y'all remember that? Against Auburn, 4th and 31? Yes. So, and a lot of this too is, I don't think we've seen the best out of Isaiah Bond. And I don't want to talk bad. Look, I'm not going to say anything bad about, I love Milroe. Milroe is an exceptional talent. But the wide receiver, Bond didn't get to show the best of himself in that offense. Okay? He didn't. Because he didn't have the quarterback that can get him the ball like that. Right? He didn't have the offensive coordinator that could scheme up plays like a Sark can scheme up plays. Right? And it's just the truth. You know, as a pure passer, Quinn is much better than Milroe. Right? As an athlete, Milroe is much better than Quinn. He's explosive. He's special. He's elite, at being an athlete and running the ball. And he is elite at throwing the deep ball. My God, he's elite at doing that. Right? It's the intermediate balls that Quinn is going to be able to deliver to these guys that is going to show a whole nother set of film for a guy like Isaiah Bond. Pretty sure that was probably one of the reasons why he came to Texas too, is because he wants to be that first round draft pick and he has to be able to showcase every aspect of his game prior to him going to the next level. Isaac says, Blue is nice in the return game. I agree. Exactly. Let's see. Marcus, yeah, man. Damian Harris. How did I forget Damian Harris, man? He's still getting checks in the NFL. He was a good back. He was a good back in college. And definitely a very serviceable back in the NFL as well. Good back. Michael Sproul says, what game are y'all looking forward to next year the most? Me, the Aggies. Oh, man. That's a good question, man. That Georgia game, if Georgia pulls Caleb Downs and they couple Downs with the other safety they got, they might have the best safety duo since Ed Reed and Sean Taylor. And I know I'm putting heavy praise on that, but Downs was a no kidding, not a freshman All-American. He was an All-American this year as a freshman, like all of college football All-American, not freshman All-American, like all of college football. I think first team All-American. Man, the Georgia game is going to be sick. It's going to be stupid. And it's going to tell us exactly where this team is, man, especially on the defensive line. I think we stacked everywhere else. I want to see how this team looks on the defensive line. That's what I'm looking for. Isaac says, I'm curious to see how Wingo climbs the depth chart. I think he could be dangerous in the red zone. Yeah, he could. You know who else can be dangerous in the red zone? It's a guy that we've already seen do this in college football. And if we get this guy, Amari Niblack, that might be your red zone target. 6'4", 235. Did it against SEC talent last year. We saw it. He's a freak. He's a stud. He might be one of those guys that we see if Texas is able to reel this in, right? If they're able to reel in Niblack, that might be a red zone. That might be a red zone guy. Hicks, Debates on the Raw Room podcast said he hopes for nothing but Hey man, they hating, man. They hating. Sark's in his bag right now. Sark is in his bag right now, man. You gotta love what Sark is doing right now, man. A lot of fake Bama fans jumping out the bandwagon. They hurt. They hurt, man. I mean, it is what it is. We're gonna see who the true fans are. Hey, look, when Texas got off the high horse and when we weren't the best team anymore, there were a lot of Texas fans that jumped out the bandwagon. But that's what makes it's so beautiful for the guys who are in this chat now and the people who went to Texas and the people who cheered for Texas during the good, the bad, the ugly, and now back to the good. It's that we were there throughout the whole process, not fair weather fans, still buying tickets to go to games, still blocking off your Saturday to watch the game when you could be doing other stuff. And this is when we had 5 and 7 teams, right? When you had the Charlie Strong era and the Tom Herman era. That's what makes a fan is no matter how good or bad that team is, you still 10 toes down, right? And you guys in this chat here, you got to 10 toes down because y'all been down with me for 3 years now. And some of these names, I've been seeing y'all names here for 3 years, right? And that was no more than 3 years. I've been doing pot. Yeah, I did this in the Charlie. Yeah, man. You guys been here a while. That's all I'm saying. You guys been here a while. So yeah, that's a true fan. There's a lot of true Bama fans. There's a lot of fair weather too, but just like any other team. So Isaac says, if Texas was in Bama's position right now, we'd be hurt too. It comes with the love of your sports team. Exactly. I like DeBoer. I think he will do well with Saban to fall back on. Yes, I think DeBoer can do wonderful things there. I'm just surprised at the offensive talent that is jumping ship because he's an offensive mind. Like that dude knows how to coach ball, man. He knows how to coach some football, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And what college football has seen him do over these last 2 years. And I've heard some comments. I was talking to my boy Steven about this, man, and and Nash and and Homer. People are saying, well, he's only done this at every stop with other people's talent. Let's see him recruit and get it with his talent. But I mean, that's like a bad take. And it's almost like you're saying that. How does Steven say it? Steven said this the best. He said it's almost like you're saying that you don't want the guy to win with the other players. It's like you want him to fail before he's able to even succeed, basically, right? So yes, he's supposed to win with players he doesn't even know. I mean, that even speaks more volumes that he's able to win with guys that he hasn't coached. He doesn't know what they're special at. He doesn't know how good. He knows how good they are, but he doesn't know these guys in and out. Now, we will see what he's going to do when it comes to recruiting. And we're also going to see, folks, the portal's going to be open after spring too. So when spring practices are over and this depth charts get shaken up by each team, by all the teams, Texas is going to have some attrition, folks. We're going to go through this. And it could be some of the guys that we're very high on. Bama's going to probably get some good players after the spring, right? What's going to happen with Michigan? If Jim Harbaugh leaves, who hits the portal there? We're seeing what's happening in Arizona right now. They're losing players left and right, right? So, I mean, it just is what it is. It is what it is. Hicks says, Texas A&M, I'm looking forward to that game. I think I'll be attending the tailgate in College Station for the day. I ain't going nowhere near College Station for a few years, man. They don't like me. They don't like me. You know what I'm saying? I talk mess. They don't like me. But no, that's going to be a hell of a game, man. Oh, Texas A&M. Just had to have them back on the schedule again. I remember going to the game a couple years in college and, of course, seeing them, come to us too, man. And I remember going to Texas A&M campus even when it wasn't the game. And, I mean, I had friends out there, but, of course, I'd go in there and wear my Longhorn shirt. They'd be hating and stuff, man. But it's a good rivalry. Great rivalry, man. And I'm just glad it's back on the schedule. I am. I'm just glad it's back on the schedule. Mark says, no resume of being able to recruit isn't a bad take. No resume of Tom Herman 2.0. Oh, you're saying he's Tom Herman 2.0? Nah, I ain't saying that, Mark, because the board just took his team to the national championship game, and he beat us on the way there. Like, I don't think Tom could have done that. Like I don't think if Urban Meyer would have left and then Tom Herman took over that squad from Urban Meyer in Ohio State, would he be able to duplicate or do better than what Urban Meyer did at Ohio State? That's what we're saying. That's what you're kind of implying with Tom Herman too. I don't get that because he took a team. Um, how many games did they win before he got there? Weren't they like 4-8 the year before he got there or something like that? And then he took them to the college football playoffs and the championship game. Nah, man, I can't rock with that. We'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be tough for him though. It's gonna be tough. Arch Horn says we definitely will because we're already at 87 scholarships. Yep, exactly. There's gonna be some attrition, folks. Marcus says his first staff he's assembling already blows Herman's exactly out the water. You know what I love about what he's doing to staff, folks, is he's taking guys that have had head coaching experience, even if it's at the group of 5 level, and he's putting these guys as position coaches and coordinators at a P5 level, right? So he's taking the head coach from Buffalo. He's the assistant coach now, right? He's the assistant head coach. And he's taken, what was it, Marcus, the South Alabama head coach, and now he is the defensive coordinator. So he's taking guys that are used to running a well-oiled, assembled machine and telling them, don't worry about running the whole team. Focus on one side of the ball. Like, he's doing a great job with the staff, I think, too. The only thing is that Alabama fans are not patient and they're going to be like, these aren't splash hires. Every successful hire does not have to be a splash hire. And I think people need to get that out of their mind is that I think the board's having a hell of a staff that he's making here. Michael Sproul says, shows what you can do with a very experienced quarterback. Yeah, very experienced. Yep. I am. He hired a bunch of low-level coaches just like Herman. Mark, I ain't buying that. I think he's hiring good coaches. Tom Herman brought guys that were with him that probably shouldn't be here. Guys that other teams didn't want, like, was it Sean? Who was offensive coordinator with Herman the first time? It wasn't Sean Watson. Watson was with Strong. It's the guy that's coaching down there at Coastal Carolina or something now. Tim Beck. Yeah, I mean Tim Beck. Fans were ready to get. They wanted Tim Beck out of. Came from Ohio State, I think. They were happy he was gone. Right. Todd Orlando. Come on, man. Like, it's not even the same. Right. It's not even the same. The coaches that he's hiring here, I think, are much better. Herman just didn't have 10 6-year seniors. You might be right in the 6-year senior part, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, that defense, I thought was an experienced defense for that time. And that's why that defense is really good the first year, because it was experienced. And then when he had his own players come in with that second or third year, the defense did not look the same, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, this is my point. Hicks goes, they should have put FAU on the football schedule instead of Colorado State. Marcus Myers tells Mark, I disagree. It's a totally different approach. I think so too. Vic says, how many points did our offense average this year? 35 should increase this year. I'm not sure how many points we averaged this year. Matter of fact, let me check right now, man. That's a good question. 2023 Texas football stats. And let's see how many points the Texas football team averaged. I don't think it was 35, man. I thought it was more points for offense. Damn it, I don't see it. I don't know, but look, I don't think it was 35. I could be wrong, though. It could have jumped up last year because of that Texas Tech game and that Oklahoma State game. So it could have jumped up, but I'm not sure. So Arch Horn says the board did well at Fresno State too. Yes, he's been well at everywhere he's been at. All right. So Mark says, Nino, They just had the 38th ranked recruiting class. Who is they? Are we talking about Washington? And if we're talking about Washington, I mean, Washington's not Bama, you know? Marcus Meyer goes, I think we might have found Herman's burn account. Mark, we just missing with you though, man. We just missing with you. All love here, man. And then King Kunta says, we need Jim Harbaugh to hit the NFL so we can snag that defensive tackle, Mason Graham from Michigan, who was the best player in the national championship game. Exactly. Dude, if Texas is able to get a defensive lineman to come in, like that'll complete the whole cycle when it comes to the portal, right? If Texas is able to get a defensive lineman, that's it. It's over. There's no excuses. But folks, we've been on here for an hour. I got another podcast at 8:30, so I need to get something to eat and get ready for that. Talk some more football with my folks. Let me see. Also, Mark, I hear you. 38 from the playoff year. I get it. But was it his class this year? Because he just left. And so I'm pretty sure some of those players have left. So what was it prior to him leaving? Was it a top 15 class? Was it a top 20 class? And also it's Washington. There's levels to this when it comes to recruiting. It's hard to recruit to Washington. Like it just is. You know, that coast, those kids want to go to USC. They want to go to the Oregons, right? The IT school that got beat twice by Washington, right? Those are the schools that they want to go to. Washington's not like a name brand school. So yes, they're going to want to go to a more established school. That's like saying Washington is the equivalent in the Pac-12. And look, I'm going to hurt some Washington fans, right? You know, like when I say this. Washington is the equivalent to the Pac-12 as Texas Tech is to the Big 12. It just is. It just is. It might be the school in that state, but we're talking about that conference that is ran by USC and the UCLAs and the Oregons. Washington is below that. So it would be like a kid at Texas, a kid wanting to go to Texas Tech, or a kid getting recruited by Texas Tech, but then also having to get recruited by by Texas and Texas A&M. Those kids are 9 times out of 10 going to want to go to Texas and Texas A&M instead of Texas Tech. You know, Micah Hudson is, he's the exception. But talking about the podcast, give me a second real quick. My podcast that I'm going to be on tonight. So Isaac's asking a question about the podcast I'll be on tonight. I'm going to be on Texas Longhorns fan battle. And so I'll be on there tonight at 8:30 Central Time. Just look at my timeline on Twitter. I post it, and you guys can see that. So anyways, folks, it's been an hour. It's 7:10 right now. Thank you guys for turning in, man. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Share it, man. It's good talking to you guys. And also leave a comment down there, man. What do you think? Does Texas have a shot of getting Niblack and getting Muhammad? And if they do get these guys, man, how excited are you going to be to see those guys in the 40 next year if they do indeed commit, as the reports are saying that they probably are? So we'll see, folks, man. Good to talk to you, man. Horns always up. Hook 'em all day long.